In 1974, an interstellar radio message carrying basic information about humanity and Earth was sent in the direction of Messier 13. In 2001, we may have received a reply. I'm Sarah,
And I'm Sydney.
and this week we're talking aliens.
Ooh.
This is the Arecibo Message and the subsequent reply. So, have you heard of that?
Possibly. I think I know the message. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of something else, maybe.
Well, I think as we get into it, you'll see if it's familiar or not.
Yeah.
Um,
It's funny that you're doing this because you hate aliens.
I know. I think I'm opening my alien era.
Facing your fears.
Yeah, I read a book recently, a sci-fi book with aliens in it, and it actually made me like feel okay about aliens because the
Oh.
was like it was like this ship. It's what is it called? Honor Bound, I think is what it's called. But it's like the aliens are giant whales and they're like a ship and humans board them and like live with them and travel around space.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, so it helped me get over my fear of all aliens. Some are maybe good, but anyway. So in 1974, scientists beamed a message into space, which was meant to demonstrate our technological achievement and not like as an attempt to actually get a response with aliens.
Right.
So
We're not hoping that they're real because we know they're not real, but just in
yeah.
case.
Right. Well, I feel like it was just for us to show off, but like, yeah, to show off to who? To
Right.
ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It included basic information about humanity and Earth, and it was sent in the direction of the globular cluster Messier 13. So this message was broadcast into space one time, and it was via frequency modulated radio waves. So it was done at a ceremony to mark the remodeling of the Arecibo telescope in Puerto Rico on November 16th. So it was aimed at Messier 13 because it's relatively close to Earth at 25,000 light years away, and it was available in the sky at the time and place of the ceremony. So, like, nothing special about.
Right, they're just like, eh.
Right. So this was 1,679 bits of data in binary code with the ones and zeros transmitted by frequency shifting at the rate of 10 bits per second. So the high and low frequency, which was representing 0 and 1, were chosen arbitrarily, with the 1 being the higher frequency and 0 being the lower frequency.
I honestly don't understand binary coding at
I
all.
well, the 1 and zeros make words and
What?
stuff.
How?
Because it's a code.
Ones and
I mean, it's kind of like
zeros.
Morse code with like the
I
dashes and
I
dots.
guess, but
So
I
instead
just
of
don't
dashes and
understand how
dots,
we put so much information into ones and zeros.
it is pretty crazy. But we do it.
I know our entire fucking world is built off ones and zeros.
I know. But yeah, the total broadcast was less than 3 minutes, and the number of bits, 1,679, was chosen because it's semi-prime, and when it's decoded, it was meant to be arranged as 73 rows by 23 columns, so I guess that worked out with how many bits it was. And when correctly translated into graphics, it shows this image below. So, like, facts about us. Have you seen this before?
No, this is not the one I was
Oh,
thinking of.
okay. Okay. Well, you can look at the image while I say what each row is. Um, the first row shows our numbers 1 through 10. But in the code, it was written a little differently than just straight up binary. Like 8, 9, and 10 are longer than the amount of columns they wanted to use. So they put like double numbers for 8, 9, and 10.
Oh.
So like if you wanted to decode this, you'd have to figure that out.
Yeah, I was just thinking, how is literally anyone except the people who wrote this supposed to, like, how is a, we're just assuming that the aliens know how to know that it's
Right.
supposed to be this many bits and binary code. Like,
Well, that's why they said it was really for us to show
yeah,
off
that makes sense.
and not to get a response. But it is interesting that we did receive a response, which we'll get to later. But the technique of like using several contiguous columns of like zeros and ones for like to represent the 8, 9, and 10 was used like later too. So like that was a primary to who if did someone did want to decode it, then that would tell them to do that for future ones.
Oh.
And like there were X's, I get like empty space at the to break off some sections to get the image, I guess. So the second image that we see in purple and like the four green ones under that represent the numbers 1, 6, 7, 8, and 15, which indicate the atomic numbers of hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus, which are the elements that DNA is composed with. And carbon is the first one in the image, and it's purple above the others since it's our dominant element for life forms. I mean, the colors are arbitrary, obviously, because this is sound,
Right.
but to help you decode it, I guess. The third section in green indicate the chemical groups that the nucleotides of polymeric DNA sequences are built. Uh, just what we use to the nucleobases for DNA.
Wow.
Yeah, which I'm kind of into chemistry, but not that much. So, but I
Right.
get,
I get it, but
yeah. But I guess each sequence represents the molecular formula as it exists when it's like in DNA, not when it's like on its own to say that this is our DNA. And
yeah.
then the next section shows the double helix of our DNA, and the vertical column in the middle represents the number of nucleotide base pairs in the human genome. And then the next section showed a simple illustration of a human being. So the left showed the average height of an adult male in the US, which was 1.764 meters or 5 feet 9 inches. And like this was written like with the binary number 14, which is intended to be multiplied by the wavelength of the message, which was 126 millimeters, which would then give you 1764 millimeters or the 1.764 meters for the height. So,
Which is
like,
only helpful if you understand our units of measurement. Also,
yeah. And you'd have to know, like, the wavelength of the message was this, and I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
okay, I believe that they weren't actually trying to talk to anyone because how could you ever figure this out?
Right. And then like the middle is obviously like what a human body would look like, I guess, with the arms and legs. And then on the right is an image indicating the global population in 1974, which was 4.3 billion people. And then under that is the planets in our solar system, and Earth was one line higher than the rest of the planets, which indicates that's where we live. And it's just like a generic graphic, like not to scale or anything, but like
Right, it's kind of cool though.
it included Pluto too.
Haha.
Yeah, because it was
What if
1974.
the aliens flew by and they're like, well, that can't be it because that's not a planet?
Yeah, that's a moon. These people think that's a that's funny. But then the last section represented the Arecibo telescope and indicated its diameter at the bottom. And the M in the middle is meant to demonstrate that the curved line is a concave curved mirror. You'd also have to understand that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was 1974. On August 14th, 2001, there was a reply to this message in the form of a crop circle, which appeared near the Chilbolton telescope in Hampshire in the UK. So this crop circle matched the visual representation of the Arecibo message, but with some differences, which is supposedly like with the alien civilization's information put in.
I was really hoping that they would have sent it back by sound, like by radio waves, so that it was
We
a
have to
little
decode
less,
it.
yeah, a little less. Maybe someone did this.
Right. Yeah, it's a crop circle. But if you scroll down to the page, I included the image of it.
It's cool.
Yeah. But like, I guess, I mean, they said it's a hoax, but obviously. So at the top, it also shows numbers like 1 through 10, just like us. And then after that, it shows the building blocks of their DNA, supposedly, but with silicon as the dominant instead of carbon. But the other four were the same. And then it shows the nucleotides, which are the same, I guess, but the DNA structure is shown differently with a different number of nucleotides, and it appears to be an additional helix of DNA.
Hmm.
So somehow they would have three helixes instead of a double.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then it shows an alien body with like a big head, which is like the typical.
Ours didn't have a head either, did it?
Right. Ours was headless, which was kind of scary, but
I feel like they should have left the head off of this one too. That would have made it more realistic.
yeah.
Because
Because,
it
like,
looks like a standard alien.
right. Yeah, it does. And it had the average height of 3.5 feet and a population of 12 billion. And then it showed their solar system, which is obviously different from ours, but it had the third, fourth, and fifth planets being above the others, which indicate they inhabit those three planets.
Oh. And what's with the two in between? Like it's like a circle.
Yeah, the one that has like the four and missing the middle one.
Yeah.
Yeah, supposedly that's a planet. Like that's a planet on its own. Maybe a ringed planet?
Yeah. Maybe. But we didn't put rings on Saturn.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know what that would mean. Maybe
Black
it's.
hole.
Ooh, they inhabit the black hole?
And that's how they get places.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, they didn't. I mean, there's no way to know what that is because it's
Right.
not our solar system, but. And then under that, it shows like what they use to communicate, and it has a different diameter shown, which that image of like supposedly what they use to communicate looks similar to a crop circle that had appeared in the same area a year before this crop circle.
Hmm.
So, like that's in this image of I could only find this book with the image on the cover of
Right.
it.
It's cool though.
But it does look pretty similar. Like, obviously, SETI announced this as a hoax, as the nearest star system within the message's radio beam would not receive the message in centuries, like, not just 27 years later.
Right.
So that's, like, where we stand on this. That's just a complete hoax. But, like, I don't know what I believe, I guess, of it, but how.
Right. What if they were out traveling?
Yeah, and they picked it up. And
Because
they're
they
like,
had to
oh, let's
come
go
here to
check
do
this out.
it.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they're like, we'll just pop in and put it in image
Right.
form.
We don't want to wait for you to get it back. We'll just
Yeah,
come here, put it right down. You can have it instantly.
right. I just think it'd be so hard to make this in a crop circle.
I don't understand how crop circles get made to begin with. So
Yeah.
to plan it out, to have it scaled properly. Also
Right.
wild that it has a picture with it. Like those two happened at the same time.
Yeah, the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened at the same time, which is crazy. Some people say that looks like the face on Mars, right?
Oh.
But like the face on Mars has been proven that it's just like shadows and we just make faces out of shadows.
How do you do this in one day? I guess
Right. Both of them?
right.
Like without anyone noticing? I don't know. It's hard to say if it's real, but like also how many people, I guess 27 years later, do people know about this message and what it would look like?
Right. Or be smart